Hello and welcome to another episode of morrislcrescue, and we are in the midst of a beautiful, absolutely beautiful and sunny Tasmanian spring morning, and let me tell you, we are not going to waste 1 minute of this sunshine. So today we're downing tools on Holly the rescue truck and we're hitting the road. So we're going to head off and catch up with a couple of hot rodders. Now these guys are renowned for their attention to detail and the absolute level of perfection that they reach with their hot rods. But what they've managed to do is they've turned all of those skills and that intensity, for the want of a better word, into the restoration of a Morris truck, which has been in their family for around 35 years. So yeah, strap yourselves in and you're going to enjoy this one, so come along for the ride. Well, we're out here in the north of Tasmania today, and we've come to pay a visit to Bruce and Simone, who are the custodians, I suppose, of this absolutely amazing LC5. And this restoration has been a labour of love for them both. They started it in 2014, and yeah, it's still not quite there yet, but yeah, the plan is to get it on the road very, very soon. Where it is now, but it runs, it drives, and it is really, really a beautiful job. They've done some amazing work here. So yeah, look, I'll let Bruce tell the story, and yeah, we'll take a look at this truck and then something else rather special that Bruce has got tucked away here.
Welcome to my story. This truck was built and bought in 1957. It was a Morris commercial LC5 by a guy, Mr. Young, in a potato farmer in a small town in Waimate, New Zealand. What happened, he kept it to quite a few years before it then shifted to a foundry called GT Gillies. It was their foundry vehicle around a small town of Oamaru for several years, and then it was around about late 70s, early 80s, my brother-in-law and sister bought the truck. He always wanted a truck, and they had 5 acres, and I thought it'd be ideal around the farm. So they used it for a couple of years, and then it ended up blowing a head gasket. So it sat on the truck in the garage in the carport for around about 25 years, something like that. And then I happened to be back in New Zealand working for a couple of years, and they said, "What are you doing with the old truck?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know what we can do to it." And I said, "Well, I'd like it." So a deal was done, and it ended up being trucked up to Kaikoura, where I was working, and pulled the whole thing apart and sprayed it all. I undercoated it, got a lot of stuff sandblasted, and then my career brought me back to Australia. So off came the truck in a container with all in boxes and bits and pieces, and the cab was on wheels, and so So I went there and then finally moved to Tassie about 2013, 14 and started restoring the old truck. So it wasn't quite complete, but most of it was all there. So I'm actually turned up to be the 4th owner since 1957. But everything was ground up restoration, the chassis, the wheels, everything was all pulled apart. The engine fully reconditioned, gearbox gone through, drive shaft, drive chain. So it's nearly ready for back on the road again. It'd be nice driving around Tassie, it'll suit down here. That's my story, and very enjoyable to have it. So it's been in my family for about 35 years. And very nice truck, very nice, love it.
So I think it's fair to say after that interview that Bruce is probably a man of few words, but he makes those words count. And look, in talking to Bruce and Simone, what shines through above everything else is just the passion and the dedication that they share for the restoration of this truck. It has been a journey for them, and the level of detail that they have gone to and the way that they have put this truck back together is just a credit to them. It really is. But again, we see a truck where it forms part of the family history. It's been in the family for long enough that it's remembered, it's loved, and it's going to be restored to a very high level. And what better physical way of telling people stories from the family and reminding people of those who've gone before. So look, full credit to them for everything that they're doing, and we'll have a bit more of a closer look around this truck, and hopefully we can do it the justice it deserves.
this, little girls.
No, it's all Armstrong steering, Bruce, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
But that's part of the appeal. That and a lot of gear changes.
That's the one.
She is an absolute credit to you, mate. Absolutely, it's a very unique wine, isn't it? You know.
Oh, yeah.
If you drive a Morris, it's very relatable.
There's the old rod.
Fabulous, Bruce. Thank you so much.
No worries at all, old girl.
One thing we've come across here, Bruce and Simone actually have the original LC5 bumper here and the two valance pieces that buffer between the guard and the bumper. Really, really rare. I don't see many of these in the flesh, and yeah, just brilliant. Even with the overriders fitted, just a wonderful little piece there that they have every intention of finishing off and putting back onto the truck. It's these little details that, yeah, really make these trucks pop when they're restored. So I did promise at the outset there was a second part to this story. And before we have a look at a very special vehicle that Bruce and Simone have locked away in a shed, I just want to make it absolutely clear that if these guys hadn't have come along with their passion and drive for old Morris vehicles, then there is every possibility that this particular vehicle would not exist today. It's a mammoth undertaking to restore this vehicle, and the plans that Bruce and Simone have for it are not to everybody's taste. However, the way I see it is if you are prepared to put in the time and the energy and certainly a lot of cash, then you have carte blanche to dictate how that project turns out. So let's go and have a bit of a look.
known about this. I believe it was St Giles bus back in the early 50s. It did have written on the side the Society of the Crippled Children. It was a school bus for them. Used to travel from, I understand, from Launceston to St Helens. I'm not sure, a bit sketchy about how many years they had it for, and then I believe it was found on a farm out the back of Devonport. So a guy had it and then did some body work on it and decided to get rid of it, and I purchased it from him. So I think it's a pretty unique vehicle. I think it's based on a bit of an LC3 chassis and engine running gear. And then the body would have been done in Australia at some stage. So, but other than that, it's probably going to be a retirement project, and it will be something else when it's finished. So watch the space, you might see it around town at some stage. Some might love it and hate it, but this is going to be full on rodded. It will be lowered down onto the ground. It'll have a whole new chassis running gear. It will have a small block of some sort of V8 in it. I'm going to make it a lot more usable. The roof will get chopped some degree down, and yeah, it'll look sort of low, fat and wide really, and it'll have some dual wheels on the back, and yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
So for those of you out there right now who might be thinking, well, Bruce and Simone are just crazy. Look, I've had the opportunity of spending this time with them and actually having a look at some of the cars that won't appear on this video. And to say that, you know, they go above and beyond with their work on their hot rods is probably an understatement. It's just amazing what they do and the level of detail that they go to in every one of the cars that they've produced. So look, rest assured, I think whatever they do here, it will turn heads and probably snap necks too.
So this car is a 1939 Ford Sloper, actually Australian car and a right-hand drive car. I believe the bodies, I think, come from Canada, and they were built up here. So this car was hot rodded by a famous guy, Tony Jenkins, in Adelaide. And back in the 70s, and I think it features in one of the Hot Rod magazine about 79 when it was first going. So it's had some hard times and since then, and I've picked it up and rebuilding it, getting it back to pretty much how it was, and a really nice car, lovely car to drive, but steeped with a lot of history, and it was called the Silver Lady. So a lot of people out there would know a lot about this car. So, but it's not far away from going, and it'll be back on the road again soon.
So that's pretty much a wrap for this week's episode, guys and girls. Just a very special thank you going out to Bruce and Simone for the generosity they showed me, and yeah, just spending the time to show me around their LC5 and some of the other projects that they've got going on there at the moment. I'd also like to just thank all our new subscribers who tuned in this week. Honestly, you guys are helping me to build this channel, and it's greatly appreciated. I certainly appreciate all the feedback and the comments. It's been really, really positive, and I take all of it on board. And yeah, whether you're reaching out through one of the Facebook groups, or it might be through the Gmail account, or through comments on the channel, I read every single one, and yeah, it's helping me to understand what you guys would like to see, and if we can improve things anywhere. So certainly appreciate it, one and all. So anyway, for this week, I'll be back on Holly next week, that's for sure, so back on the tools again. But from me to you, well, it's safe travels, happy restorations, and bye for now. Don't look at me like that, Rocky. Are you actually going to do anything today? I guess not. Brad Dunn Vintage Truck Supplies. Turning wheels and making deals 8 days a week.